Good morning. My name is Karen Riddle, and I'm the Business Development Manager for CourthouseDirect.com, and I welcome all of you to our webinar today. And our goal is to provide you with an avenue to work smarter, not harder. You're going to learn how our new Geographic Information System tool will allow you to create mailing labels instantly, obtain real estate information faster, build reports, and locate recent commercial and residential sales information. Paul Cones, President of CourthouseDirect.com, will first give you a general overview of the features of the GIS tool. Then he will demonstrate step-by-step how to generate reports and mailing labels. He will be discussing how the GIS tool can help you save time and increase your productivity. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Paul.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that, and welcome everybody this morning. I would encourage you to find a couple buttons on your screen that say questions, and feel free to extend any questions as we go along. Also, too, if you need to move your dashboard out of the way, you can grab the top of that dashboard and move it so that you can read this information. We are going to be recording this session today, so if anybody you know would like to see this that perhaps wasn't able to make it today, then they're certainly welcome to view the recording. And as Karen mentioned, what we're trying to do through the GIS service as it relates to real estate is to give you some resources to make you more productive, and particularly as it relates to building property reports and mailing labels and that sort of thing. And so on our agenda today is really to do a GIS overview and then talk specifically about how GIS helps surveyors and appraisers and real estate agents and also consumers. Well, why do we use GIS? Well, for surveyors, you want to be able to do fast research and perhaps create mailing labels. If you're going to try to enter on somebody's property, you need to notify them. The same way for engineers, they may have to create mailing labels for rights of entry, or if they're doing replats of properties, they need to notify everybody within 1,000 feet or 500 feet, depending on what the regulations say. Also, appraisers use GIS to be able to drill down and find recent residential and commercial property sales. And particularly real estate agents can use this as a way to farm their area. So they want to contact all the people in their local area, and they can use this service. Also, there's a lot of people that we consider professional researchers to be on the line with us today. Those are oil and gas landmen, perhaps right-of-way agents, and title examiners and abstractors. So for all of you folks, what we're trying to do is give you the best tools to be able to do your research, and I think you're going to see in our presentation there's some ways that you can go about researching that is going to help you. So, one question that we get is, where does the data come from? And the tax information that's provided on the databases comes from the appraisal districts, and the recent sales information in the database comes from our CourthouseDirect.com title plants. And as many of you know, we own Integrity Title Records, which is the largest provider of title plant facilities for title insurance companies in the state of Texas. So much of the information that derives for the recent sales information comes from that. And as far as the maps that we have, those are appraisal district maps, county records, municipalities, and you will see some overlays of some Google Maps also. And as far as the pricing for GIS, a lot of the information that is provided is free, such as what we call the appraisal basic report, the appraisal detailed report. But if you want to extract the most recent property sales and create a commercial property report, then we do charge $5 per report with a $10 minimum. The mailing labels, we charge at 15 cents a mailing label with a $10 minimum, and that's whether or not the information comes from the tax records or the recent sales information. So when you're on the home page on CourthouseDirect.com, there are a couple of buttons you'll see there. One is this GIS button kind of at the top right-hand corner, and then along the left-hand side, you'll see another button that says GIS Map Search. Once you're in there, it does ask you to go ahead and access the GIS, and that would bring you straight over to the GIS page. I want to point out there's a couple of ways that you search within the GIS. One is searching through the appraisal district records, which is the first search area at the top. The other is where you are searching for most recent property sales, and there's a button down here at the bottom where you're able to do that. Once you pull back the information, then you're able to actually build reports of what we call the appraisal basic report, the appraisal detail report, and also you're able to create mailing labels. Of course, when you're talking about GIS, you're talking about layers of information. And so, you know, a layer of information might be the commercial sales information, it might be the subdivisions and the lot and blocks, and also the abstract numbers. So you might also, if you get a chance, maybe suggest some additional layers for us to be able to add to the database. So when you're searching for tax information, essentially you can put in the account number or the owner's name or a street address or a zip code, and typically you'd choose the county that the property is located in and then put that information in. When you drill down to the map, you'll be able to see where you're able to select either individual parcels on the map, or you're able to select multiple parcels on the map. And then, as you notice, it does display the lot numbers, the block numbers, and the parcel numbers, and so on. Also, searching appraisal data or recent sales data, you can do that by zip code. So in this example, we're looking in Dallas County, putting in a zip code, and then finding all of those records within Dallas County where there either is tax information provided or where there's new sales information. So zip code is another way to search. You can also choose to zoom down to an area. So on the GIS, you see the arrow pointing to the little magnifying glass here. That's where you're able to click on that and then zoom down to the area. Now, when you start zooming down, what you're going to notice is you're going to notice a lot of blue dots on the screen and some green dots. The blue dots represent current or recent residential home sales. Then the green dots represent recent commercial sales. Again, there's a couple of different views on the map. One, if you just want to look at the street view, you can do that, or you can choose to look at a satellite view if you want more detail of what's on the ground there. Another really, we think, cool feature is this map tip, where we show you the account number, whether it's commercial or residential property. Typically, you're going to see a street name and number, also an owner's name, and a lot of times you'll actually see the recording information for the deed itself. I do have a note down here. If you want to copy anything that's in a map tip, typically you're able to just capture the area, hold your control key down, and hit the letter C to copy. And then if you want to paste that back in somewhere else, you just hit Control V, and that will paste it. As I mentioned, we do provide mailing labels, and so you can create mailing labels both out of the appraisal district records and the recent sales information. And the reason people need mailing labels is perhaps if you're trying to reach your local business and you're trying to reach out to residential owners and provide remodeling services or home repairs or home furnishings, you can do that. And on commercial properties, you might want to provide those folks with roofing or striping services or window washing, that sort of thing. So what we're looking at here is an appraisal basic report, which gives us the account number, the county the property is located in, the taxpayer, an abbreviated legal description. And then as we move down the page, you'll see an area down here that says vesting deed. And this is where you're able to actually type within the appraisal basic report and then save this report. So in this case, I've typed in a volume and page of a deed, and then the filing date of the document, and then the execution date of the document, which you don't usually have the execution date before the filing date, so that's incorrect there. But let me turn to the next page here, and you'll see this is our appraisal detail report. And the appraisal detail report just gives you a bit more information about the improvement value of the property, the land value. Also, we've converted the number of square foot to acreage here, and so it's a bit more information than you would get off of just the appraisal basic report. And this is a commercial or residential sales report. And the difference between this report is you get a lot more information. For instance, we can see here that this was a car wash property. We can see a census tract number. We can also see the file number of the deed where the document was filed. Here's the information related to the buyer and seller, and then also addresses, contact names, telephone numbers, fax numbers, email addresses, website addresses for whoever these folks are. So if you're an appraiser, a lot of times you're trying to find who bought the property or who sold it to see perhaps how much they paid for the property. So that's a good resource. So now that we've kind of done this kind of quick review here, we're going to kind of get to work and show you more of the GIS. So let me minimize that. And I want you to notice across the top the tabs that I have. And so one tab that I'm on is the Harris County Appraisal District, and the next tab is going to be the GIS tab. So let me just click on GIS. It's going to ask me to go ahead and access GIS, so I'm going to choose to do that. And this is our GIS page, which I'm going to hit the home button just so it'll come up a little quicker here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and search in Harris County for an account number. So I've got an account number that I'm going to plug in here. So I'm just going to hit the search button.
The webinar that you're missing.
You may want to muffle your telephone, Karen, if that's where that information is coming.
It's not even nothing. It's has to do with mapping and stuff. So you don't need it. Okay. I thought it was going to be more toward the other side, toward the GIS, the surveyors and stuff.
You know,
it's got good info.
I hope I muted that person that's talking. So, okay. Let me go back to the home button. Typically, we're seeing a map come up here. And that's what I'm not seeing is the map. So let me hit my refresh. Okay. It's usually when things aren't working, that's when you're trying to demonstrate. So sorry, folks. Appreciate your patience. See if we can get back in here. Okay, looks like we had some success. So, anyway, we're wanting to drill down to an area on a map. So I'm going to choose to search by account number, and I'm going to look in Harris County, and I'm going to paste in this account number that I'm looking for, and search that. So what it's doing is going down and finding that particular track in Valley Forge. So it's drilling down into Harris County, and it's finding this particular area that we want to be able to do searching in. So I'm going to point out we have a product we use, which is Snagit, where you can capture an area on the map, and y'all may use this yourself. But the nice thing about this is you can put comments on this on the map itself. So, for instance, if I'm a surveyor and I'm trying to research the subject track, and I'm also trying to research, you know, the adjoiners, then I'll probably want a map that I can label the adjoiners on, so I can just, you know, put, you know, number the tracks that I'm working on, and then save that information. And for instance, I've already saved that, you know, onto an email here. And so I'm going to be building a report, and then I'm going to be adding that to the email. So again, if you notice across the top, I've got the Harris County Appraisal District, and then I've got Courthouse Direct, which is our GIS system, and then we have the Grantor Grantee Index. So I'm going to go to my favorite county, which is Harris County, and pull up the grantor grantee. So I keep these buttons open right here, but I'm ready to go ahead and do a search on the property I brought up on the GIS. So again, let me go to the account number in Harris County. Okay, my consultant is saying log out and then log back in. So let me do that. So go back here. Okay, so again, I want to search this Andrea Pereira name, and you notice how I just capture that name there, and then I go back to my grantor-grantee index, which is Harris County, and I'm just going to paste that name into the party name here. So let me go back here. Again, I hold my mouse over here, and I do Control-C, and then I go back to my index and then paste in my party name and then search that name. Well, I know when I pulled up that information, it's out of Briar Grove subdivision, so I can look through this whole list, but I can also hit the back button on my browser and put in BR and then match Andrea Pereira and Briar Grove. And I can say, well, that's really the document I need there, which is that warranty deed, and I can choose to buy that document, and the image is going to be up here at the top. So for instance, I can edit my report too. I can put in, this is, track number 1 that I'm searching, and then click OK. And then I can go back to, again, back to my map. The next track I want to search is this Luis Cuervo name. Again, as I'm looking at this name, I see that it is out of Briar Grove Section 8. So again, I'm back to my result page and choose New Search. And then I'm going to paste that party name in, this Luis Cuervo person, and then run that name. There's not very much activity on his name, and there's my Briar Grove document, so I can just choose to buy that document. Again, if I'm wanting to label this as I go along, then I can choose to put in the number 2 and click OK. So I'm labeling these tracks again, as I'm working through them. Again, back to my map, back to my parcel that I'm looking for, and I'm just going to grab this name here. Again, it's a Control-C to get that information back up to the result page and then pasting in the party name. Again, you want to make sure you get rid of any spaces that are left over, and then this is everything with his name on it. Well, I happen to know this is a condo, but it's property out of West Haven Estate, so there's my deed from Hollis to him. The same way that we brought up this map here, and I have my map tip, and I pulled up the name. I can also pull up the account number. So for instance, I can just copy that account number, jump into my appraisal district, paste that name in there, and then the nice thing about the appraisal district for Harris County and some other counties is they will show you an ownership history. So if I was wanting to see, well, Hollis owned it back in '97, we've got this K. Hahn person that now owns it, then I can take that information and put it into my search results. Again, here's my results for K. Hahn, but I know that they did business with Hollis. So you see how I can do a sub-search. Sub-search, very important. I can match that sub-search against Hollis, and then I've got the information I'm looking for, and then I can just add that to the report. Again, at the top, I can number this report, and then so now that I've done this, and I can go through and capture all of those properties, but let's say, for instance, at this point, I want to move this into an email that I'm creating. All I really have to do is just copy this information, go back to my email, and just drop that information right into the email below. In fact, I could change client code to track number if I'd like. And then these are all the documents related to that track. So if I hold my mouse over that document and then open it up, then I can see, it's kind of on my other page here, but I can see here's the document here, and it's referring to lot number 337, block 13 of West Haven Estates, and the plat is recorded in volume 30, page 46. So what I kind of suggest is that you keep another tab open at the top, which is, let's say, your what we call the historical backplan area. So you see I've got this historical deeds and plats here. So for instance, if I'm in Harris County and I'm trying to pull up volume 30, page 46, then I just drill down to the county. So I'm going to go to Harris County. And you'll notice that we've got the older deeds here that are multi-page TIFs. We have the old contract records. All of these are free to view. The only time you pay is when you download the copies. So if I go to the Harris Maps and I drill down to volume 30, page 46, so again, I'm just going down, just like I'm pulling a book off the shelf, and I'm going down to page 46. It does load a JavaScript here. So there's my map. And then I can flip this image over. I can choose to make, this part of the image larger. And then if I decide that I want to download the map, then I simply click the download button here, and then down at the bottom, I would typically open this up, and then I would just save it wherever I'd want to save it. So again, to be able to get to the older maps and that sort of thing, it's very easy to be able to just jump in here and go to those maps. And again, if you keep another tab at the top that we call File Viewer open, then that would make it just a little easier to do. So again, just to kind of review very quickly, what we did here is we drilled down to an area on the map. We numbered the map, and then we used the GIS to be able to use the map tip to pull up certain information, and then we copied that information into our search area on the grantor grantee to be able to pull up the information. But let's say, for instance, I'm a surveyor and I'm doing a replat of this area, and I need to notify everyone within 500 feet of the replat. Then I can simply choose this select multiple parcel button here, and I can draw a box around whatever the area is that would comprise 500 feet. Try that again. I'm going to go back to our tax account number here. Okay, let's go home, and then I'll move to my next area here. So again, if I'm trying to create mailing labels, what I was trying to do here is drill down to an area. So I'm just going to choose to drill down to an area here in Collin County. And so when I drill down to this area, you'll see a lot of blue dots on the screen. Well, those blue dots represent the residential home sales, and then those green dots represent the commercial sales. So as I drill down a little bit closer on the map, you'll notice so far these buttons are grayed out here that say select single parcel or select multiple parcels. But as I drill down a little bit closer, you'll see that those buttons are turned on. once they're turned on, then I know that I can select multiple parcels. So for instance, if I was doing a replat of a property in here and I wanted to just notify everybody within this area, then I could typically just draw a box around it. It highlights all the information there, and then I can choose to create mailing labels for that information. So I simply click mailing labels, and it tells me I've selected 128 records, and the cost for the mailing labels is going to be $19.20. So I just click mailing labels, and there's my mailing labels right there. And then I can just put in my Avery 8160 mailing labels and be able to print those. If I want to look at the reports that I've created already, I can click on the report button at the top, and this will bring up all the reports that I've been working on. So for instance, if I was had pulled up a sales report or mailing labels before, then I can go in here, I can click on any of these reports and be able to pull those up again. I can go ahead and clear this selection here, and then I could choose to click on individual properties, or again, I can choose the overall. I can also choose on the layer of maps. Right now, I'm on a street map, but if I wanted to choose the satellite imagery, I can choose that, and then I could, if I wanted to, I could choose the individual properties, for instance, that have swimming pools or different things on the map that I'm interested in. So let me go back over to this appraisal basic report. If you notice, there's a button on the left-hand side. I have selected a few of these properties right here. So if I click on appraisal basic, then it's going to pop up a little dialog box, and it says you've selected 5 accounts. There's no charge for this. This is a free service, and I want to generate the report. So when I click to generate the report, it drops that information into a PDF. In this PDF, we can edit the PDF. So I can type information into, if John Smith was the seller of the property, then I could go down here and type in, John Smith, and then I could put in the recording information and really edit this report. Since I selected 5 parcels, then I've got essentially 5 reports here that I can edit. If I want to save the reports, then I simply click on the Save button, and it'll allow me to save it, and I can go back and actually do some more editing to it later on if I wanted to do that. Now, let's say, for instance, we're in a zip code which is 75070. So, for instance, if I wanted to pull up a sales report in that area, you notice on the left-hand side we have recent sales, and I can search by zip code. So I'm going to choose, again, I'm in Collin County, so I want to look at, let's say, the last 2 months of information, and I want to look at commercial property sales. Let's actually make that 6 months. And then I'm looking at a zip code which is 75070, and I'm going to search that. So it's going through the whole database looking for any recent commercial property sales that have that zip code 75070. This little grayed out image here really signifies that it's building the database or building the search result. Okay, so we can see we've got a lot of different properties here. I'm just going to select a few of these properties just to demonstrate what a sales report looks like. So I've selected about 6 properties here, and then on the left-hand side, if I wanted to send mailing labels, I could do that. But what I want to do is create a current sales report. So when I click on that, then essentially it says you've selected 5 accounts and generate the report. So as I generate this report, again, this is going to give me a lot of details. So it tells me that this is a retail shopping center. It says this is the file number for the deed that's filed. These are the parties' names and their phone numbers, addresses, fax numbers to be able to reach these folks. And so, again, these are just individual properties that were sold in that area. and these are all, very recent sales. For instance, this is a November 2nd of 2012 sale, and December 5th of 2012. So you can see how quickly you can pull up this very in-depth information. What we're doing is matching the tax information against the deeds that are filed, and then we're researching that particular property to see if we can get more details for the appraisers and the other folks that are trying to reach them. So I'm going to just jump over to another account number in Harris County that I've got. So again, if I want to move to an account number, I just simply, choose the county that I'm looking at. I'm going to go ahead and just paste in this account, say search. It's going to leave what we're doing and say, okay, we're looking for David Christian at this property right here. So it's drilling down to that particular property on the map. Since I was already in a Google layer, which was the satellite imagery, then it stays on that. If I want to move back to the street view, I can do that. Street view typically is a little easier to work with. If I want to pull the deed to this particular property or any of these properties here, again, I can hold my mouse over that information and be able to just do the research from there. Again, the trick on this map tip is when you have your mouse there, you just have to drag it inside of the map tip, and then from there you can just hold the control key down and then hit the letter Control C, and then jump back into an index search and be able to just paste that party name in. Now, David Christian again could be a fairly common name, which this is 3 pages of information. So again, if I knew what I was looking for was David Christian, again, I can just paste in that actually we can even paste in the owner's name here, David Christian. So what does David Christian owns? Well, he owns this property on the North Freeway, and we know that's out the Atchafalaya River Cafe. Then I can just go back to my index search and say AT and search that, and then typically it'll match those names, if that's been filed against that. So again, just keep in mind the way that you're able to search here, building those tabs across the top, drilling down to the map itself, and being able to, again, hold your mouse over the tracks that you are interested in searching, grab the information, drop it into the index searches, and then you're on your way. So, what we try to do here, it's in some ways the searching and using this system is we don't think very complicated. I had a couple little bugs this morning, but and you do want to be a little careful about clicking too fast. And that's probably the problem here, is that if you click too fast, sometimes it'll kind of lock up the system, so you want to be aware of that. But in terms of being able to build these mailing lists and to be able to do your searching faster, particularly for your adjoiner searches and that sort of thing, I don't think there's a faster way to be able to do that. That's pretty much the end of the GIS presentation that I wanted to give today. Again, I apologize for a couple of the hiccups, but I'm just looking at a couple questions on the screen here. One is, can you search easements? And if I were searching easements, for instance, I'm going to jump back to my index search here. If I was looking for an easement, let's say that since I had Christian on the name, I'm just going to keep Christian up here. Under the sub-search here in Harris County, the easement typically is indexed as ESMT. And if I were looking for all the easements, I believe that's, let me put this in, Christian and Houston L for Houston Lighting and Power Company, saying match anything with Christian and Houston Lighting and Power Company. It's going through the whole database looking for anything that matches that. I had the indexing a little wrong here, but so easement is in Harris County anyways, indexes EASMT. So if I knew I was looking for this party's name of Christian, it could be Smith or anything else, and if I'm looking for any easements that may have been granted, then that's one way to be able to find that. So this ability to be able to use this sub-search, this is critical because there's some people that say, well, I just use the county website and that sort of thing, but to be able to use this sub-search is what really allows you to be able to find that needle in a haystack. Let's see. You said the green dot shows sales. How far back do the sales go? 1 year or 10 years? Can you choose? We started this program building these databases back a couple of years ago, probably about 2.5 years ago. So there won't be any commercial sales that's prior to that. So, but going forward, we're keeping up with commercial and residential sales. One question, is there a handout for this webinar? We will be, recording the webinar, and we'll make that available to you. And certainly, we're available to answer any questions that you have. One question is, can you search by meets and bounds? Typically, meets and bounds property is going to be out of a survey or an abstract in Texas anyway. And so you would typically be looking for a survey name or an abstract number or something like that. So, for instance, just like we researched this Christian Smith property, if I look here, I can see that this is property in the J. Taylor survey. So if you notice that I hit my back button and say, well, what I'm looking for is an easement out of the J. Taylor survey, then you notice I've got a little plus sign here, and I'm saying look for easements out of Taylor under Christian, and then it goes through and it sorts only those records out that have the names Christian and easement and Taylor. So, searching something out of a survey, you can do it, but typically you're going to have a name you're going to search with. One suggestion on a layer is the flood zone layer. I'm seeing that from some folks out there. So any kind of suggestions that you have like that, I think those are great suggestions. And this is a relatively new product, so we want to really want to meet your needs and the things that you might have. Currently, the counties that are available on GIS, we started in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we've got Dallas, Tarrant, Denton, Collin, and Johnson County. And now we're working on Harris and the surrounding counties here, and then from there we'll move over to the Austin, San Antonio area. So what we're trying to do is really go to the largest metropolitan areas first. One question here, does the sales report give the actual dollar amount of the sale itself? And we know in Texas that we're not required to publish the amount of the value of a property. And of course, that's probably a frustration, I'm assuming, for appraisers that, there's not a single source to be able to go for that information. So it does not display the dollar amount of the sale, but it may display the mortgage amount, the corresponding mortgage amount. Again, I'm going to kind of wrap this up as far as the GIS portion of our website, but for the people that are the serious researchers out there, I'm going to ask y'all to stay on the line a little while longer because we're going to kind of show you some resources or some tools that maybe might help you be able to use our system better. So anyone that needs to leave now because you've found out what you needed to on the GIS, feel free to do that. But what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to go ahead and log out of Courthouse Direct, and I'm going to click on the Sign Up Pricing button. And the reason I'm clicking on this is there's a lot of folks out there, I think, that are signed up on a plan where they really need to move to another plan. If you're doing a lot of business, Plan 1 really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you're going to pay more for your documents and essentially pay $1 a page for the documents. So most of the people on the phone call today are either what we call Plan 2 or Texas volume pricing customers. And on Plan 2, the maximum you pay for any document is $4.75. But let's say, for instance, you know that your company-wide are downloading at least 100 documents a month, then you really need to think about being on this Texas volume pricing, because the price for the documents is $100 per month plus $1.50 per document. And so if you think of it this way, the first 100 documents you download are $2.50 a doc, and then each document after that is $1.50 per doc. So, and this is not for all counties in Texas, but I think we cover about 50 counties, which are probably most of the counties of folks that are on the line with us today are using. So if you want to get your dock cost down to $1.50 per dock, then that's a good way to do it. The other thing I wanted to point out is there's a lot of people here that are probably doing a lot of very in-depth searching, but maybe they're not signed up on what we call our Geo Index. And the Geo Index gives you, and that's what we're going to demonstrate in a second, is it gives you the very in-depth information. It's essentially access to our tidal plant facilities for non-insurance users. And so if you're doing research all across the state and you need the very best information you can get your hands on, then this GIS really, or excuse me, the Geo Index, is a great way to go. And you'll see that statewide access is $1,200 a month. That says 30 counties. It's actually, I think we're up to 33 counties now. So, and then the historical docs, just to point this out to you, is that these older docs, the deeds, the grantor-grantee indexes, the maps, those are all free to view. So if you're trying to pull up an old deed in Harris County and you just want to view it to see if it's something that you really need, then certainly the being able to look at that free, and then when you see a document you want to download, you just click download, and then that's the download price on the right-hand side. The title plan access, those are subscription services, and so the price does vary for that. So I'm going to jump into the Geo Index, which is our non-insurance access for title plants. And something that it is probably going to ask me to log in here, so let me go ahead and do that. I would tell you the key, this is the title plant. So the historical documents are what we call the file viewer, is this button at the top. We do have a link to the GIS right here. The beta site is that is actually our advanced search site, and if you folks aren't using that, that use the Geo Index or use the title plant, you want to check that out. But I'm going to go into Harris County real quick, and on Harris County, the default is the Harris County legal search. But the search that we always promote is the general search. The general search, we have a little saying that the general search is your friend. So for instance, I'm back on my map here. I want to drill down to an area, and just at random, I just want to find a tract that I want to research. And just like the, we did that little search with, was it Christian and Houston Lighting and Power Company? You can do that very same search here. So if I'm looking for Christian and then a plus sign, Houston L for Houston Lighting and Power Company, it goes through the whole database looking for anything with the name Christian and Houston Lighting and Power Company. Houston Lighting and Power Company is a very large file, so it takes sometimes a few seconds to be able to run that. But so essentially, it's going through the whole database and looking for a match on those. And we'll give it one more second here. Make sure I hit the button. Usually it's some operator errors, so let me try again here. For some reason it's not wanting to respond, so let me get back out. choose the general search. Let me try that again. Christian plus Houston L search. Normally it doesn't take that long. So I'm going to jump over to the beta site. I may have too many things working here, but let me go ahead and log into the beta site here. Really the key on the beta site is you're able to do what we call a template search. So you're able to search a lot of different things at one time. So I'm just going to go into the county, and I'm going to go into Harris County. And then I can put in a GF number if I have one, or I can just jump into the what we call the complementary search. And you notice the top left-hand corner, it says template search. So I can put in the subdivision name that I'm searching. So I'm looking for Gessner Grove. And I'm looking for Lot 5, and I'm looking for Block 1. Well, I happen to know the party's name, which is Agia Sylvia, and then the husband's name, Agia David. And so I want to search the legal description and the husband's name and the wife's name. And so I'm just going to click on the search button. So as it's searching here, you'll notice at the bottom I kind of drag my mouse down. It's finding 6 records out of the general search for grantor grantee for Sylvia, 4 records for David, and it found 5 records that are deed restrictions and so on. So from here I can say, well, this is everything that I think I need, so I can just add specific pieces of information to my report. And then I can say, well, the other thing I want to search is this David or Sylvia Agia name. So this is everything with Sylvia Agia. So I want to add all of her information to my report. And then there's also some information with David Agia. I want to add all that to my report. And let's say, for instance, I see there's an adverse lien filing with David Agia, so I might want to add that too. So now that I've added this, I want to view this report that I've been building in a new window. So this is the legal search that I did and the results that I pulled back, and I entered information in here for Sylvia Agia, then the David Agia, and then the adverse lien search here. So instead of having to do the individual searches like some of y'all might be doing right now in the current website, this is our advanced search website where you're able to actually do this without going in there. You also, the other advantage here to the advanced search is that you're able to keep track of your searches or go back and pull up your prior searches again, which is pretty helpful. Another resource that we have within our historical data are these filtered searches at the top. So for instance, there's my easement search. Again, if I was, let me try my Christian name again and look for anything in Harris County that's filed against Christian that is any kind of an easement. So I'm searching the whole database. It found 258 records, and then it's building a list of everything that's considered an easement. So it's picking up list pendens, which not very often, but sometimes utility can condemn property. And then these are all the easement information. And as we're looking at this, you might see some acreage amounts here, like this 14.98. That's another benefit of this general search that we were talking about earlier, is that I can put in any kind of bits of information in here. For instance, I'm just putting in 14.98 and say, go find everything in the database that has 14.98 in it. Well, there's all the 14.98s, but I said, well, I'm really looking for the things that are out of rentals because I see that rentals survey there. Then what I can do is just click on the general again. It already has 14.98, and then I just type in REY and say narrow this search just to the 14.98s that are out of the rentals, and then you'll see the rentals information there. So again, we like to say that the general search is your friend because you can put any little bits of information in that general search, just like I see this Colonial San Jacinto. Go back to the general search. I'm going to put in another plus sign, and I'm going to put in COL for Colonial and say go search that. and then it finds 15 records where it's finding COL. So you can see how that general search allows you to drill down to exactly whatever it is that you're trying to find. So the power of this is the template search that allows you to be able to put in the names of both husband and wife and the legal description. And then if you notice, we're running a lot of different searches here. You're running the legal search, you're running the deed restriction search, easement search, and so on. And then you're also just having to click one time to be able to bring up all that information. Let's see here. So that's the main thing I wanted to cover here. And again, the same way as if I'm on the, I've got my general search up, but if I go back to my Courthouse Square tab, or excuse me, the GIS tab, and I'm drilled down to an area, then I can do the same thing using the report, essentially going to the general search and then pasting the information in here and then running the search and finding that information. So, that's pretty darn powerful. Well, again, I don't want to, keep you all any longer. I apologize for some of the technical problems, but I appreciate everybody joining us today. And if y'all have any questions, I will stay on the line just a little longer if you want to post any of those questions. Otherwise, we'll look forward to catching you the next time. One question I am getting here, I see, is people are interested in how they can look for involuntary liens. We do have a button on the left-hand side here that says Adverse Lien Searches. And you can, this is information that's extracted out of our county information. So, for instance, I can choose the county of Harris, and then I can run a name of somebody, and I suspect they may have like an IRS lien or an abstracted judgment against them. Then I can put in the name of that person, and then I can run a filtered search for anything that's filed against Raymond Hill in Harris County. So what it's doing, it's finding the first thing it found was an abstracted judgment way back in 1964, but we're also seeing tax liens, judgments, abstracts of judgments, list pendants, a lot of different liens that are filed against this individual. So, and for instance, the same way if I wanted to find all liens out of Rosewood or out of a particular name here, and I was looking for another name, any liens that are filed against a Mary Hill, then I can just go back and say, okay, I've searched Raymond Hill, but let me see what's happening with Mary Hill, and then I can go ahead and do that search and look for any kind of involuntary liens there. So, so the ability to be able to look for these involuntary liens is critical when you're making a decision about whether to do business with someone. And if you see that someone IRS lien filed against them, a week ago or a month ago, you may think twice about delivering a lot of product to them. So keep that in mind. This adverse lien search is a great resource to be able to check out the people you're doing business with. So again, thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you all.